A basic SEO concept is whenever you can name something, doesn't matter what it is, make sure that name is SEO friendly. So in this case, we're talking about domain names. So you could have a domain name with your company. So for instance, my company is called Cheltenham Group. So I could have a domain name of www.cheltenhamgroup.com, or in my case .com.au because I'm Australian. There's nothing wrong with that, so if people are searching for your company, they'll find it very easily. But it's important to realize that the URL doesn't have to be your company name. The URL could actually include your important keywords. So in the example shown here, let's say you're a plumbing company in Perth. There's nothing wrong with having a domain name which is different from your company name. So in this case, something like www.plumbingperth.com.au. That would be perfectly okay, and also that would give you a slight SEO boost. In the past, exactly matching your keyword phrases with your domain name had a huge effect. These days it has a much smaller effect, but as I've said repeatedly, SEO is about trying to get every single thing right. So you will notice that I have a website, for instance, called www.4seotraining.com.au. The reason I've got the 4 there is when I moved to Australia in, I think it was 2007, seotraining.com.au had actually been bought by somebody else, so that was like my second best purchase. I just put the 4 in front of it, hence the 4 seotraining.com.au. So as I say, this is one example where you can sneak your keywords into something, that something in this case being the domain name. Incidentally, try and avoid the use of hyphens within your domain name. Right, another thing you need to think about is keywords in file names. So every time you create a new web page, for instance, make sure the file name of the page is SEO friendly. So for instance, instead of just having a file name that says About Us, you could have a file name for your About page, which was something like, in my case, it could be About My SEO Training Courses. So I've got the words SEO and training and courses in there. And Google does notice this, so Google looks at all your file names. It doesn't matter whether they're file names of pages, they could be file names of documents, file names of images. It's just important that whenever, as I say, you can name something, use an SEO friendly name. Something else you can think about is folder names. So a lot of people just simply create all their pages in the website at the same level. And it's important to realize that your web server is just like the laptop that you use. You can create folders and put certain things into different folders. So if you're going to use folders on your website, again, make those folders, the folder names, SEO friendly. So as you can see, a lot of people, as you can see in the slide here, a lot of people would put their images into a subdirectory maybe just called images. The word images doesn't really mean much to Google. So what you could do is create a subdirectory called, in my case, maybe SEO training images, and put all of my images, my pictures, into that particular folder. When Google comes to read the name of the folder, it would get the words SEO training images, so it would extract some important SEO information from the name of the folder. The other obvious one is image names. Let's say you've bought pictures from an image library, or you've taken your own pictures. I mean, typically you might have something like a file name for an image, or something like image0284.jpg. That means absolutely zip to Google. So prior to uploading your images to your website, what you could do is rename the images. So in my case, I could have something like perth-seo-company.jpg. And again, Google will take note of this. So as I say, every single time you can name something, it doesn't matter what the something is, but when you can name something, give it an SEO friendly name. You can apply this concept to documents as well. As we'll see later, and most people miss this, creating downloadable documents which you can have on your website is a very, very good SEO trick. And again, if you create a document, so in my case, I might create a document called something like SEO tips and tricks, then it would make sense to actually have a file name for that document of something like SEO tips and tricks.doc or .pdf. Right, one last thing, you may have heard of the expression NAP, name, address, phone number. This is something you should try and be consistent with right across your website and your social media. So again, Google takes note of this. So if you've got lots and lots of different social media setups, then ideally you want the name, address and phone number to be identical in every case. And this will certainly help with your local SEO efforts.